Pie Talk Podcast Productions. Like, comment, subscribe, share.
Courtney was making fun of my wrinkled shirt.
I did do that.
I had to change. Welcome back to Pie Talk Podcast. We are going to do another episode of A Blueprint Parenting, Chapter 8. We're going to cover some communication styles, navigating some modern relationship things. We're going to jump right in. Chapter 8, effective communication is the cornerstone of healthy relationships. And recent research has identified various communication styles that significantly impact relational dynamics. Understanding these styles, adopting trauma-informed approaches, and navigating the influence of social media are essential for fostering strong, resilient partnerships. Understanding communication styles are deeply rooted in our experiences, both during childhood and in adult relationships. Attachment styles developed in early relationships with caregivers profoundly influence how individuals approach intimacy and connection. Recognizing and adapting to these styles can enhance interactions and resolve conflicts more effectively. So the importance of trauma-informed approaches. Well, trauma-informed couples therapy integrates trauma theory, attachment theory, and relational psychology to help couples heal from traumatic experiences. This approach allows partners to understand each other's past experiences, leading to healthier coping mechanisms and improved communication. And then we have social media and navigating that in relationships. So in the digital age, social media plays a significant role in relationships. Establishing clear agreements regarding joint accounts, access, and the purpose of online interactions is crucial. Avoid posting cryptic messages that could invite external interference. Transparency and mutual respect in digital spaces are vital for maintaining trust and intimacy. And so now we're going to explore communication styles. And I'm going to pass the mic.
Oh, man. Here we go. Okay, so Chapter 9 talks about exploring communication styles and digital boundaries. Common communication styles. Number 1, passive. Definition avoids expressing needs, desires, or opinions, often prioritizes others to avoid conflict. Example, it's fine, whatever you want. Number 2, aggressive. Definition, expresses needs and opinions in a way that violates the rights of others, often includes blame, control, or intimidation. Example, you better listen to me or else. Number 3, passive aggressive. Definition, appears passive on the surface, but expresses anger indirectly, often though sarcasm, silence, or manipulation. Example, oh, it's fine. I'm just used to doing everything myself.
How many times have you heard that one?
I've heard it a few times.
No, that's good. I'll just, carry all the things in the house one at a time without any help.
I got this. Clearly.
Yeah, like normal.
Number 4, assertive. Definition, clearly expresses needs and opinions while respecting others, values directness, honesty, and boundaries. Example, I feel overwhelmed. Can we talk about a plan that works for both of us? Then we go into number 5, manipulative. Definition, influences or controls others to serve a personal agenda, often using guilt, blame, or emotional games. Example, I guess I'll do it since no one ever helps me anyways. Very similar.
Similar to the passive aggressive.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. They
that.
probably go hand in hand.
Yeah, gaslighting all day.
Number 6, submissive. Definition: gives up personal power to others, often avoids disagreement to maintain peace or approval. Example: whatever you say, I don't want to cause problems. Number 7, honest plus reflective, trauma informed. Definition: uses vulnerability, emotional language, and ownership of feelings to build a safe connection. Example: this topic is hard for me to talk about. I want to get better at it together.
Okay.
Yeah. Scenario: Alex and Jordan have been dating for 6 months. Alex prefers direct communication and values face to face conversations, while Jordan is more comfortable with texting and often uses abbreviations. Recently, Jordan posted a vague status on social media about feeling down, which Alex misinterpreted.
And that's something that happens often, especially in our current society where social media can be weaponized. If there aren't clear boundaries, if there aren't a clear understanding, like people don't think about it, but you have to think about, okay, we're getting into a relationship. We both have social media. I mean, everyone
Yeah,
pretty
everyone
much,
has it these days.
generally speaking. But how many people do you know actually sit down at the table and be like, all right, so what are the rules, right? What are the rules of engagement when it comes to social media? As someone in a relationship with someone, are you guys sitting down and actually talking about what's acceptable to post, what's unacceptable to post? Because cryptic messages, and I'm actually guilty of this. Sometimes I might have a dispute with my wife, for example, and I might post something that is asking social media for their perspective on a debate me and my wife are having. But because she knows we just had that debate, it's like, oh, you're taking our everything to social media. Even and I've disguised it, like, so a friend said, or a
Yeah.
friend's asking, and I want to post this poll up, but really I'm trying to use the answers or the comments on that post to win my argument,
Yeah.
right? So I think establishing like what that looks like how are you using social media and what does it mean in your relationship? Because I'm a firm believer, like I'm a big romantic. I believe in love. I believe in falling in love. I believe in unconditional love. But I'm also a realist. So I understand that love, on one hand, can be unconditional, but relationships are contractual. Relationships are about conditions and agreements and understandings.
Hmm.
And if you don't have those, then your relationship will suffer. You will have things come up because you never discuss them.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to kind of in the beginning stages when you're courting and you're learning about each other and you're setting boundaries. For example, when people are coming into relationships and one or both of them already have kids, you're going to have those conversations about
Hmm.
dynamics. For example, you have a son, right? So I know we talked about you probably not dating anytime soon, but so we're going to go into some hypotheticals.
Okay.
So you have a boyfriend come into your space. Now, if this boyfriend is taking care of you, doing everything that you also identified that you would want in a man
Yeah.
to do, right? Protect, provide, do all the things, be supportive, um, you know, be able to handle his emotions and be these things for your son
Hmm.
at the same time. And I'll just ask you, what kind of barriers are you putting in place, for example, discipline, right? He can do
Mm.
all the things that a man can do that you want to do, but it's your son. Can he discipline?
Well,
And to what extent?
yeah, that's a good question. I would say, if this man is going to be a role model in my son's life, then I would sure hope that there'd be enough respect between the both of us to be able to discipline in a understanding way. Like for me, the way, well, in the perfect world, I'd say, oh, I'll be able to discipline my son by being firm with him, being open about communication on like what was wrong, what boundary was crossed, whatever the case may be. And for that man, I would hope that he'd be able to be respectful enough to follow that same, protocol that I've already set in forth. But for that to happen, I'm sure we'd have to have some kind of conversation about it.
Yeah. And then on the flip side of it, right? Your baby's dad, his actual father, his biological father, he doesn't have to have communication with you necessarily about how he's disciplining his son.
Yeah.
So even though you're not in a relationship with him, and it might be strained or it might be in and out, the person that is in your life has to have that conversation with you.
Yes. We have to be on the same page.
You have to be on the same page. So just taking that and kind of putting it on top of, like, when it comes to any agreements in a relationship, especially social media, because social media has been, in lots of cases, the bane of many relationships.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I see it.
So, so this chapter is about, identifying, like, what is your communication style.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do your homework on you before you get into a space where you're in a relationship with someone else and you're making demands or you're reacting to things that were never discussed.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say I get on social media and I'm in a brand new relationship and I got my shirt off, I'm in the gym, whatever, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is what 41 looks like. And then my new girlfriend is like,
oh yeah, that is what 41 looks like.
Yeah. Or she's upset that I, posted a picture with like, that's mine, right?
Yeah.
Why are you posting that on,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, vice versa
she
works.
posts a picture, goes out with her friends and they're all in bathing suits. And, then she ends up getting a bunch of messages. Damn, you fine. And, all that, that's fire. Baby, you bad. So it's like, is she out of pocket in that situation, or is he out of pocket in that situation? And under what circumstances is it in pocket, right? And I think it all boils down to the communication beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, are we putting on our social media, like, are we having a joint social media, for example? I've seen couples where it's like we're in a relationship and the profile is like literally Courtney and B, right?
Yeah.
Versus you have yours, I have mine. Yeah, we might tag each other or whatever, but they're individually independent, completely separate from each other.
Yeah.
People have to decide if they're going to do the in a relationship with status.
Yeah.
Because some people don't like that.
Yeah,
right?
a lot of people don't.
And so I just think that these are things that are important to talk about in new relationships. And if you haven't talked about it in your existing relationship, maybe you should revisit the contract. Because like I said, my belief is love definitely can be unconditional, right? You can unconditionally love someone, but if they violate the contract of your relationship, that doesn't mean you have to be with them, and you can still have love for them or love them, right? So understand that what's in your contract. What have you communicated to each other clearly and concisely so that you're both understanding what the expectations for each other are? And have you agreed fully with those? Because I can say, like, if you're my girl, you got to do A, B, C, or D. And if there isn't a affirmative, like a yes, I agree to A, B, C, and D to be in a relationship with you. If it's just me saying it and there's no actual agreement, then can I then hold that same person accountable for violating A, B, C, or D? You see what I'm saying? It's like, I said it, but there was no agreement.
Yeah, I get it.
I think there really has to be an agreement. So, when it comes to, like, reflecting on your styles and influencing your interactions, set digital boundaries, agree on the purpose of social media in your relationship, decide together what is appropriate to share online and what should remain private, establish guidelines for joint accounts, access permissions, and the sharing of personal information. So, for example, do you believe that if you're in a relationship with someone, you should have access to their social media account?
I would say, like, to, like, just look at it.
Well, anybody can look at it, but I mean,
but like access it.
Yeah, be able to, like, for example, read their messenger messages.
Then again, that's all on the relationship. For me personally, I don't like to read other people's messages. It's a privacy thing. It's a respect thing. In a strong, healthy relationship, I would hope the other person was respectful enough of my space and privacy to trust me, to be, in a relationship with me. And I would feel like I should be doing the same.
Yeah.
Like, if there's been no red flags or, cheating or anything like that, then just let people be. Like, it's okay to have your own life. Just that's how I do things.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer in that as well. So, establishing those guidelines, I think, is super important,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if someone believes something that you don't believe in, and
There's going to be conflict.
you haven't talked about it,
Yeah.
there's going to be conflict. Now, why is this in a parenting book? Because one thing that I'm really big on is, before we go into parenting, like the majority of the first chapters of this parenting book is, how are you parenting yourselves in your own relationships? Because our kids watch us, and that is primarily how we parent, through what we model. So we can say, hey, don't put hands on girls if you're a boy, don't disrespect women, but if they watch the man disrespect their mom, all that goes out the window.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
55, 38, 7 rule. A psychologist came up with this for communication, right? Which says 55% of communication is body language, 38% is tone and delivery, and only 7% is words. So take that into consideration when you're parenting your kids,
Mm-hmm.
and you're saying 7% is the words coming out of your mouth. That's what they're receiving. That means 93% of what you communicate is what you do, is your tone. So if they're watching you be rude and or disrespectful in a restaurant, or how you're handling people when you're in conflict,
Mm-hmm.
but you're saying, hey, you need to always be nice, you can't talk like
Mm-mm.
that, that's not going to work.
No, absolutely
Right?
not.
So if you're not communicating with your partner, and you're in a two parent household, then how are you going to teach communication to your kids if you're saying, hey, you really need to use your words,
Yeah.
but you don't? Right? So I think it's really important to understand, the first part of parenting is the relationship with your partner, with the other parent, with the other caregiver. Even if it's not a romantic relationship, right? You might be co-parenting with your mom because your mom has partial custody of your kids for whatever reason, right? A lot of this is also focused on post reunification. A lot of people I work with in the coaching and the parenting field through our nonprofit is people that have either lost their kids, or they're in a CPS open case.
Mm-hmm.
So these are different dynamics when it comes to parenting. And I think it's important to communicate openly and clearly and concisely about all the things you want, expect, and then model those things. So saying them is literally only 7% of if it's real or not, right? If 98% your body language is disrespectful, your tone is disrespectful, then that's what you're going to teach.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're going to absorb from your parenting, is what you do and how you do it. So next page, we're talking about, practice informed, trauma informed communication, which is, be aware of each other's past experiences and how they may affect current interactions. Use empathetic listening and validate each other's feelings. Work together to develop healthy coping strategies for managing conflicts. Right? Again, if you're fighting and arguing and yelling and name calling in your conflicts, and the kids are privy to that, they're seeing that, they're hearing that, they're feeling that. um, think about the aces video I did, if you've been following the page, right? If they're watching you argue, shame each other, call each other names, you're actually creating trauma aces in your child's lives. So speak safe. Trauma informed communication for parents is, behind every behavior is a need. So speak to the need, not the reaction.
That's a good one.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a real good one.
So think about that. Like when your kid is throwing a fit,
Yep.
right? Saying things that are disrespectful, and you're responding, as especially as a single mom, right? So I know in science, as a mother who's attached, who's doing all of the what they say, the invisible burden, right, of motherhood. You're doing everything, appointments, everything, right?
Yeah, doing all the things.
And so you're highly attached to the outcome. So when they don't do what you're saying, for example, or their behavior is misbehaving, you have higher releases of cortisol, higher stress responses, and so it could create that reactive response.
Yeah.
Versus looking at your child and thinking, what does he need right now?
Really.
What is the need, right? What do you think about that?
I think that's a huge thing. A lot of times parents, in that moment do forget, like, hey, there must be something going on, whether it's, needing something small, feeling unsafe, feeling overwhelmed, the things that aren't maybe a physical need, but an emotional need.
Yeah, I like that. So think about the needs that you're able to identify before you get, you know, up in
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
in your energy and you get overwhelmed, and they call it rage baited, or
Yeah.
before you crash out, think about like what happened. That's a trauma informed question. What happened? What's going on with my kid right now? And so why trauma informed communication? When one yeah, he's probably freaking out right now, banging on the door because he needs attention. He needs his mom right now. When one or both people in a relationship have experienced trauma, especially abandonment, control, or emotional neglect, communication becomes high stakes. So without safety, there's no real connection. Without connection, there's no real communication. Trauma informed communication allows listening without defense, speaking without shame, and setting boundaries without punishment, resolving instead of reacting. And so some of the core trauma informed values include safety. Conversations should not escalate or attack. Two, empowerment. Each person is responsible for their emotions. And then three is choice. We ask, we don't demand. So four is collaboration, right? Conflict is us versus the problem, not you versus the child. And I think that's a huge distinction. And it can change a lot of that back and forth with parents where you're getting overstimulated and your heightened state of mental, right? You're like crashing out because you're like, it's in the morning, you're rushing for work, you have things you need to do, and the kid's slow walking, dragging their feet, and now you're freaking out, right? So think about these different things. And then five is trustworthiness. Your words and follow through match. That's really important, is consistency. So if you say this, but your other 93% of what you're communicating is the opposite, you're going to create confusion in your child. And then and if a child is confused, that can lead to overwhelmed. That can lead to feeling unsafe. And, they're not sure what to think or what to do because you're doing one thing with 90% of your delivery, and then the 7% you're saying this. So emotional regulation first, then talk. So before speaking, sometimes if you know your heightened state, breathe. And there's like four square breathing, or four in, hold for four, then out for six. Sit down or walk together. So one thing I learned that's really, really been effective ever since I learned it is, especially with youth, sometimes our youth get taller than us, but until they are, actually meeting them literally where they're at. So if I'm talking to a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, I'm not going to hover over them and blah 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 blah, right? I'm going to sit down or get down to a knee so that we can be literally eye to eye and allow them to feel safe in the communication. So it's a mutual conversation and not a power over where I'm dominating them and using fear and my presence of, I'm bigger, I'm stronger, listen to what I say. Right. So getting down to their level, meeting them where they're at, and then use I statements to express what's real, not what's reactive. So instead of saying you're making me, or you make me so mad, like, hey, I feel really dysregulated right now when I don't know what's going on with you, right? So can you help me understand so that I can understand why you're crying like you're crying, or why you're dragging your feet? Like, help me understand what's happening. So then you're taking them and you're not accusing them of the thing, and you're making it about you and the kid versus what's going on. instead of you versus the kid. And then, regulate before you relate. Trauma-informed care model says safe language prompts and sentence starters instead of you always or you never listen. Why don't you just? What's your problem? You can try, can I share what came up for me just now? Or when you said blank, I felt blank because I've experienced blank, right? Or I need a minute to calm myself before we keep going. Can we try to solve this together without blaming each other? And then I want to understand your side better. Can you help me see it? It may seem like hard to do these types of things. These are abnormal. We're not taught these emotional intelligence skills growing up. If our parents didn't show us none of that, it might feel corny. It might feel awkward, right?
Yeah.
But you still have to use these types of phrases, maybe not verbatim the way I read them, but in your style. Like, hey, help me find, like, what's good? What's happening right now? Like, I need help. I need to know what's going on so that we can move past this. We can move past this, not I need to know what's wrong with you so I can figure out how to make you stop doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, how can we move past this? Like, what's happening? And then trauma-informed dialogue practice. So ask for consent, right? Always ask permission. Is now a good time for us to talk about something that matters, right? Or do you want to talk about it later? Give those kind of options. Invite them to the conversation instead of, how many of you as adults are upset and someone's trying to push you for talking about the thing? Has that ever been effective with you?
No.
Never, right?
No.
So think about it. A child is still a human.
Yeah.
A child is still going to experience the same emotions and the waves, and they're going to do it with a way less amount of experience with navigating emotions.
Yeah.
It's our job to teach them how to regulate their emotions. And so ask them, like, hey, you want to talk now or you want to talk later? Because when you're super upset, and I'm like, but just let's talk about it. You're like, I don't want to talk about it right now.
There's no talking right now.
There's no talking. No,
There's
my
no
lizard's
talking.
out. Yeah, my
There's
lizard's
no talking
out.
right now.
You're about to get fire breathed on you by this dragon if you keep pushing this button.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then, step 2 is lead with vulnerability. And I know that's one of the hardest things you can do, right? You want to be the parent. If you're a dad, you want to be the masculine. You want to be that I'm super tough and what I say goes. But, right, I'm nervous about bringing this up because I don't want to fight. I just want us to feel heard, right? So it's like you don't want to trigger somebody else. But if you lead with that, you actually create the space where somebody can receive that. Like, for example, if I'm about to bring up something and we're friends and I'm like, hey, Court, I'm scared you're going to be upset, but I got something I got to say to you. How is that going to hit different than if I just say the thing?
I think it builds, in our trusting relationship, it builds like that platform where there's going to be some kind of like softening the subject.
Yeah, because not only that, you're oriented. Because I'm like, hey, if I just text you and say I need to talk to you about something important, what does that do to you? If I'm like, hey, on Thursday I'm going to talk to you about something important, and it's Monday,
man,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if I add more context, and say like, hey, I got this. There's something I need to bring up to you, but I don't want you to get upset, and I don't want to fight with you about it. So I've been kind of scared to bring it up. Do you have time? Like, what's a good time where I can, bring this to you?
Yeah.
How would that hit?
Much better.
Much better.
Because now you're like putting the ball in my court on like a time frame, so that when I'm ready, I could be like, oh, hey, let's do this.
Yeah, because you don't want to drop bombs on people because you don't know when or what state of mind they're in. They might not have the capacity to have a fucked up conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, give me a warning. Let me know. Don't just, drop some stuff on me that you already are pretty sure is going to upset me.
Yeah.
Let me tell you when I have enough capacity in my cup to have a potentially upsetting conversation.
Yeah.
That sets it up for more success.
Yeah. There you go.
And then name your need, not their flaw. So what that looks like is I've been feeling disconnected lately and I need some time where we can check in, even like 10 minutes a day. Like, what's that look like for you? Is that something we can do? Versus blaming them up. Like, you never talk to me. Ugh. You're always woo-de-woo-woo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I never spend time with you. Instead of saying, That, which is you're blaming someone,
Mm-hmm.
which is an attack. What do human beings do and animals in the wild when they're attacked?
They run.
They run, or they get
fight.
defensive, or they fight, right? So you engage somebody's amygdala response when you attack them with words. And then step 4 is invite their story. Hey, what do you think would help us reconnect in this situation? And then step 5 is affirm progress. So this is like, thank you for hearing me. If we don't agree yet, it still means a lot, right? Carson out there needs all of these things right now. As you can hear probably in the background, the escalation. It was first tapping, now it's banging. All right, so the last thing in this episode and kind of in this chapter is just like some practice things that you can do. Each partner will take turns answering these questions out loud, which would be, when I feel safe talking to you, it's because, and then your reasons. One thing I'd love us to work on communication-wise is blank. And then when I get upset, the best way you can support me is blank. And something I'm proud of in our growth is blank. And the third one, when I get upset, the best way you can support me is, it's almost like a rap plan. You know, like setting it up. Hey, when things get heated, if you talk about it before you ever get heated or in a situation, like, hey, this is what happens if argument's about to happen.
Yeah.
Set it up ahead of time so you can work on it. And then you have a plan in place. And then affirmation for both partners would be like, we're not perfect people, but we are committed to healing together. And then, so speak safe, trauma-informed communication guide. And with that being said, we have a little bit more, but I think you get the gist. If you want to, especially if you're local, if you're in Thurston County, again, we're going to drop the date fairly soon this week. I'm going to go confirm a date where we can hold these parenting classes in person, downtown Olympia, at Pier Olympia. As soon as the date's out, you guys will know.
We would love for you to join us.
Love for you to join us. Any final thoughts before we get to Carson, who's crashing out right now because his mom's behind a locked door?
No, that's it. We'll see you next week.
All right, see you next week.
Every agreement is a seed. Every seed grows into identity, and identity shapes destiny. From prison yards to podiums, BLU Coach B. Willis has lived the truth of one statement: we are what we agree to. In his powerful new book, available on Amazon, We Are What We Agree To, Decoding Our Mind, Coach B reveals how the choices we inherit, accept, or reject decide whether we remain stuck in cycles or step boldly into freedom. Drawing from raw personal stories, parables, neuroscience, and practical coaching tools, We Are What We Agree To goes beyond inspiration. It's a roadmap for resilience, accountability, and purpose. With this must-read and life-changing book, you'll learn how to break free from trauma, set boundaries without guilt, and manage your energy, time, and thoughts like real wealth. Order your copy right now. We Are What We Agree To, Decoding Our Mind, from author BLU H. Willis, on Amazon. Don't just live by old agreements, make new ones, and live free.